paying a high price tonight for an ordinary afternoon gone terribly, fatally wrong. Now living out their lives behind bars while their loved ones campaign to get them out. On one day, with one bad decision, the lives of 4 teenagers in Elkhart, Indiana were forever changed. Was it worth it?
No, absolutely not.
They knew they'd made a costly mistake, but no one could imagine how high the price.
You feel like it hasn't hit you?
Yeah, it hasn't hit me yet.
Their friend is dead, and they are on trial for felony murder.
The trial's starting. What is your thought on how fair or not this charge is?
We all should be charged for what we done that day, but nobody committed murder, so why should we be charged with it?
The trial lasts just 4 days, and the verdict comes after just 5 hours of deliberation. The teenagers are found guilty of an adult crime.
As a prosecutor, I did not want to send many young men to jail, but that very often is the only alternative. And here, you've got a dead body.
It was a decision this juror did not make lightly.
Age should have been a consideration in this one. You know, for the young kids to not even participate in the shooting and get convicted of it, that's the hard part to swallow.
At the sentencing, the teenagers' loved ones react in horror as Levi is sentenced to 50 years in prison. Blake and Anthony Sharp both get 55 years.
When the verdict came down, what was your reaction?
I was crushed, you know. I didn't kill anyone. And now, for the rest of my life, I'll be labeled, you know, a murderer.
Their harsh sentences have drawn national attention.
I think it's insane. I think it's overkill. And I think it's unjust and needs to be remedied.
When I found out, it just totally crushed me.
The moms are fighting for that remedy. They're hoping an appeal will be granted. Meanwhile, on the inside, Blake and Levi are waiting, hoping. Blake is in the juvenile unit.
209.
This is your world, basically.
Yeah.
He keeps a small collection of photos.
These are pictures from visits. That's my girlfriend and me.
To keep him focused on freedom, a calendar, the dates crossed out.
You see I marked the 14 up for 40. Little joke to myself.
2040, the earliest this 17-year-old could get out with good behavior. Unless the appeals can get him out earlier.
These kids aren't in here for committing a traffic violation. Most of these kids are in here for serious crimes. They should be punished for those crimes.
Blake is about to turn 18 and will soon move over to the adult side of the prison.
And I want to make a cake. So,
You're gonna make a cake?
I'm actually gonna clean this out and then just take like honey buns and stuff like that and squish them and make a layered cake.
But the dangers here are real and present.
PIO 1.5.
Fight?
PIO 1. Yeah.
There's an incident on the adult side.
All traffic weapons team assembled.
31 K1.
I hate hearing that.
What is it?
Somebody's hurt. When you hear that tone ring out, it gives you chills because it could be you any day.
An omen of the dangers Blake could face in the future. Blake's high school girlfriend refuses to walk away and has enough hope in their future to say yes to a very important question.
I actually went over to his grandma's house. She had a t-shirt for me for the boys, and it was actually an engagement ring from Blake, which was really awesome. I love him, and I'm not going to leave him when things get hard.
Blake's legal team is ready for a hard fight, too.
They went in without any weapons. They were hoping to find a house that was empty. They didn't have an intent to kill, in my opinion.
They think the case could go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court.
I think the argument of just a lay person is, well, those boys shouldn't have been committing burglary in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't disagree with that. Our point of contention is how much punishment they should receive and what they should be punished for.
They were guilty of a burglary, and they should have been punished accordingly.
I committed a crime. I committed burglary, you know. Serious things did happen, and that's partly my fault. You know, Danzel's gone, you know. His mom lost a son. I mean, I'm not saying I don't deserve time.
Where did it all go wrong?
Man, I couldn't, you know. I guess just the bad, you know, just not being a follower, not a leader, I think.
Peer pressure was definitely at play here, a very teenage vulnerability.
The juvenile brain continues to develop throughout adolescence, precisely in the areas that govern judgment, the exercise of reasoning, weighing risks,
not everyone believes that's an acceptable excuse.
Very often, as a prosecutor, I would see, especially teens, when they're in a group, they tend to do things they may not do on their own. Would you feel menaced if you woke up from a sound sleep and you came downstairs and found 5 men? I think the answer is yes.
However, the highest court in the land has already ruled that juveniles shouldn't face the death penalty, nor life without parole, because their brains just aren't fully developed. But even tough-on-crime former prosecutors like Nancy Grace say there were other options.
Frankly, the sentence disturbs me. This case could easily have been pled down to a voluntary manslaughter with a sentence of 15 years, and they would have done hard jail time, 7 to 10 years, and then still had a life to live.
For Blake, life behind bars continues. Just after his 18th birthday, with no warning, he's told to pack up his things. He's moving to the adult side.
It just caught me off guard. I was about to go to sleep. The sergeant couldn't tell me. He said, pack your stuff up.
They act like they're not scared. They act like they're Superman, but underlying, you can tell by the look in their eyes that they're a little intimidated.
I wouldn't say afraid, I'd say anxious. It's just the environment. I get put into some crazy place, and so I'm worried about that, but I think I'll be all right.
But while the walk from the juvenile housing unit over to the adult side may be short, it's miles away from the world he's known. And his new cellmate has a few words of advice for the new arrival.
Meet a few people, don't meet too many people. Just try to get in time class and go home.
His best friend Levi, who stayed back on the porch that day, is already on the adult side.
Hanging out with the wrong crowd here will probably get you into a bad situation.
What's the hardest part about being locked up?
Being behind bars ain't nothing like being on the outs. This is constantly what we see every day. This.
It's depressing.
Horrible.
Show me your ink.
All right.
Let's see.
His time in prison now literally written on his skin. Tattoos he illicitly got while behind bars.
The hourglass, it's broken. That would show that it's wasted time.
And that's your sentence,
yeah,
50 years.
Sentence.
Levi's cellmate is 40 years plus older than he and doing 65 years.
I'm here for the duration.
For now, their lives are still on hold. Freedom could still be years away, unless their mother's fight is successful. Today, they've made the 5-hour drive to Wabash to see their sons.
I feel like if we're not visiting and showing them that we're out here still fighting, still caring, that they're going to lose that hope and that faith.
Excitement and emotions bubble up as they arrive, smiling as they walk through a gauntlet of barbed wire.
Oh, I'm so excited.
There's Blake.
Oh. Hi, honey. Oh.
Love you.
The rules dictate you can only hug at the beginning and end of each visit, and the moms take every effort to make even the slightest contact with their sons. It's also a reunion for Blake and Levi. The two friends haven't seen each other in months.
It's good. It's good to see him. Good to see he's doing good.
I've been trying to send word to him, tell him that I say hey and I love him.
But before they know it, Blake and Levi have to return to the world behind locked doors.
All right, bye-bye.
I will see you in a couple weeks.
Right.
Though they can't undo what began on the porch that fateful day, the mothers continue to be mothers.
We're going to fight with everything we have.
And we have an update for you tonight. For moms Angie Johnson and April Sparks, it's a glimmer of hope. The Indiana Supreme Court has agreed to consider their son's case for a potential appeal. Our thanks to Column